So here we are in part two of our conversation on sacred sexuality and awakening. So here our topic would be about the rise of Shakti, the rise of the feminine, and reclaiming our feminine sovereignty. So here we are with our next set of questions. Right. So the next one is, what are the reasons from your perspective women are taking time to come into full acceptance of their inner feminine wisdom? Why the delay? Why the lag?
I've a couple answers to that. My most dramatic answer, I'll say, is that the survival of humanity and our planet depends on it. Really, I think like the planet and humanity needs us to reconnect with our wisdom and our knowing and that goddess energy in order to heal and put the love back in so that our future generations can survive. So our fierce mother energy is just coming alive, and Mother Earth is just saying enough is enough. Like, I can't take any more destruction. Like, we've got to make a change. um but I also think, just as we flow through our cycles and the moon phases and the seasons and the milestones of human experience, I think humanity as whole, as well as the universe, flows through these cycles of life, death, and rebirth, of masculine to feminine energy, of like all of the waves and the rhythms. And I think what happened prior was we needed to fall out of ourselves to find the pieces that really truly matter.
Mm-hmm.
And when we can see the opposite side of the spectrum, we can find where we truly belong. And we've seen the other side of the spectrum now. We've been living it for centuries, and we can really see, especially in the last 20, 30, 50 years, the real damage that it's done. And
Yeah.
now we have no other choice but to see the truth really behind it and what is really needed, and our bodies and our hearts and our wombs are just screaming out for change, really. And it's part of all of us. Our wombs are always communicating, and the longer we ignore them, the louder they're going to get with pain and symptoms and different things.
Mm-hmm.
And the energy of the universe is naturally flowing back into the feminine. I think it flows sort of like an infinity symbol, like we go up into the feminine and then cross into balance, and then into the lower masculine, higher masculine, cross into balance. And I think it's just forever going like that. And right now we're rising into the high feminine energy, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just
Okay.
pulling all of this stuff out of us. And
Mm-hmm.
really, the pain and the hurting has just gone on for way too long, and the wise woman in all of us will not stay silent any longer. She's fierce, and
Not
she's
at
breaking
all.
her cage, and she's burning things down, and she's gonna get her answers and her crown back, really.
And the
Yeah.
cosmic energy shifts, the planetary shifts, I am able to witness that so many, since I have done my work and my healing, I tend to not be affected so much. But I see a lot of people going through root chakra issues, sacral chakra issues, and especially it was July 31st, Uranus North Node conjunction. A lot changed in those days, July 31st, 2022. So I was
Mm.
witnessing and watching my clients also face mostly the lower chakra issues. Women,
Mhm.
men having a lot of difficulty expressing emotions. Yeah, this is what is
Yeah.
happening. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, Earth is like blasting through from
Yeah.
inside of people, all the volcano, the eruptions. It's
Yeah.
not the other, the climatic way, but it's happening from inside, I feel.
Yes. Yeah. The external world is always a reflection of the internal world. And yeah, it's all
Absolutely.
interconnected always. So yeah,
Mm.
it's we can't deny it any longer. It's just a force of energy that's flowing through every one of us, and it's going to push us deep into whatever work we need to do,
Right.
which is beautiful.
And but I think I see it like in the West, in Canada and USA, the awareness among women is still greater and they're taking serious steps to heal themselves, the womb, awakening the womb, the mysticism in women. But I see in the East, it's not that much. And I'm unable to figure out why is that lag and delay for women in the East to wake up and rise up to see this and own themselves, own their womb space.
Hmm. I think part of it is like North America is a collection of cultures. It's not just one,
Mm,
that has gone through the journey together. It's a whole collection, and we all have our own paths and stuff that we carry, and we're known as the free countries, right? Even though that's still a bit of an illusion. We have our own sense of control in North America.
mm,
It's women have been given a lot of power and strength and the opportunity to really stand in ourselves. There's really not a whole lot of active suppression that's happening on women anymore.
mhm,
So we don't have that fear on us or that shame as much anymore. We can move through those spaces, and we can own our own lives and our own bodies, and we can stand up for ourselves here without having to fear for our lives or the repercussions of that kind of stuff.
mhm. Okay. So how do you see it for women in the East? So how can this accelerate here?
What was the question?
So how can this delay be cleared out, and how do you see it for Eastern women to rise up faster?
So when we connect with our wombs and our cycles, there's this energy that comes back into us, and I call it
Mhm,
the soft feminine strength.
mhm,
So it's like how your mother could give you a threatening glance with just her eyes, kind of thing. It's that soft feminine strength that's so clear, so direct, but does not require yelling or force or anything like that. And I think that soft feminine strength is the energy that we need to root into in order to stand in our power and to rehone our things, because we're not living through patriarchy and the masculine way. We think we need to fight and be loud and angry and forceful to be heard. But that's not the
mhm,
feminine way. The feminine way is to stand strong in ourselves with softness and love and compassion and um, unconditionally loving expression. And when we can come into that, we're heard and received a lot better. And really, it doesn't matter what the people around us are choosing or experiencing. We can own our wombs and our cycles on our own. And the more we do that, the more we find our sister circles and the people that we can connect with. And we have that ability to join in those spaces and help that energy grow even more. But it really just starts with listening to our cycles and our womb and connecting with that space and knowing that we have that strength within us and letting it come out.
mhm. Yeah, makes sense. All right. So our next question, let's go for the next one. Misconceptions we need to clear about our moon blood or menstrual blood, and insights on the healing power of our menstrual blood.
So, biggest misconception that we see all the time is that it's dirty and shameful. And that really is not the case. It is it's full of healing stem cells and it's full of life, and it's literally without that moon blood we can't create life. So it
Exactly.
it
Yeah.
freaking should be worshipped, right? Like without it we can't keep going in humanity.
And in
uh,
smaller parts of, just to come in there, to add to it, I think in smaller parts of India, it is still considered like not a good thing. You should not do this. You should not touch the food, or like a woman is just cut off in those 5 days, and it's a sort of disrespect, which I think that also becomes like another wounding in the
mhm.
collective. Um, yeah, so at least, yeah, a lot of awareness is required in India regarding
Yeah.
the speciality and the life-giving essence in our moon blood. Like even I just came to know about all these things. Just like I started talking to my womb space just a month ago, and my cramps reduced to even greater level. So it had been reducing because I was meditating on womb healing and all of that. But then I guess I still had not accepted all parts of it. And now it's got even more simpler and easier on my body. It's very surprising the way my body listens or reacts to things.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, so I mean, the reason to tell this is the more we acknowledge the specialty and the mysticism in our own blood, our moon blood, and how she just then starts making it easier for us. Otherwise, I had too many issues before, like at least till 2020,
Yeah. Yeah,
December.
absolutely. A hundred
Yeah.
percent. The symptoms that we experience is our womb crying out for attention. It's our or our body in general, whatever the symptom is, it's our body saying, "Hey, I'm being neglected and I need something else." And as soon as you tune into that and give it the space to be heard, especially when it's, the cramps of our cycles and our periods, and um it just gives space for it to soften. Every time the first day of my bleed, there's always a sensation. Now I've been doing this work for a long time, so my bleed is a joy. It's a really joyous time for me, and I very much love it. But that wasn't the way in the beginning. I'd be curled over in pain, thinking I'm dying and I can't get out of bed and I can't function. Meanwhile, most women are still forced to go to work or do things on those days. But
Mhm.
now I know in that moment when I get up and I feel that sensation and that pain, I just take a few breaths and I lay flat and I put my hands on my womb and I just ask myself, what am I releasing today? What am I letting go of? What am I shedding? What do I need to know? What do I need to feel? What do I need to love? Whatever it is, just giving that space for my cycle to be acknowledged. And, within a few minutes, those cramps are gone and I can get on with my day.
Wow,
And,
that's
that takes
beautiful.
work, and the pain comes from so many different things, right? But ultimately, it's about listening to our bodies, and our blood will tell us so much about ourselves. And yeah, it has so much great healing powers because of the healing stem cells in it. We can use it to heal wounds. And
Yeah.
even this is still a bit too far fetched for me also, but there is people that are testing consuming it and seeing how that can regenerate the body. Now, again, this is still a bit too
Yeah,
far fetched
yeah.
for myself, but
I've heard it. Yeah, I've heard it. I've
yeah.
even tried like just tasting my own blood just for the first time last
Hmm.
week. And
Right.
and when I said this to my mother, my mom was like, "What's wrong with you?" But then I still went ahead and did it because I'm always the rebel one in the house.
Hmm.
But then,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of healing happened, and I felt a heavy weight lifted after that. Not that I drank it completely or something, but I was like just attempting to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exploring your body and just seeing what that is. And medicine women would have tasted everything, right? To explore what the imbalance was, right? To taste and to smell. That's how we would have figured it out before we had scientific tests to see these things.
Oh, and just to add to it, over a period of time, over a year or something, after the overall healing, I guess the odor of the menstrual blood for me has changed, and it's
Oh yeah.
out of the world experience.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Yeah, I know when I first started doing my work too, it was like, yeah, changed drastically. And there was one month where the odor was just like intense, like it smelt like death. So I felt as though there was just deep layers of unacknowledged wounds coming out. And then after that, it's like sweet, salty, metallic water, right? Like it softens so much and it's,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
fragrant and perfumed instead of ill.
Yeah, I'm so
Mhm.
glad we are having this conversation because this would help so many of us. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, to
yeah,
take that shame away, because it really is not shameful. It's a beautiful, potent medicine and a substance to be worshipped. And it used to be worshipped. Like the
yeah.
blood of Christ, like there's in the Catholic and Christian traditions, the blood of Christ originally was menstrual blood. You know, the chalice of wine that they're drinking in churches, yeah, the chalice
Ah,
is our uterus.
right.
A chalice is in the
Yeah,
shape of a uterus, and the wine is blood. It's a symbolism for menstrual blood. It's still there everywhere. All of the evidence of the goddess culture is still there. It's just been covered up with lies.
yeah. I think those men who are the male collective who are ready to acknowledge what has happened and are willing to unlearn and relearn history have serious apology. They owe an apology to the collective feminine because they allowed the strong men allowed this to happen. You know,
Mhm.
most of them. I
But
won't
really,
say all, but
yeah,
yeah.
the men that are existing in this state, they didn't create those things. You
Yeah.
know, it was ancestors thousands of years before them. So they're living through the same wounding and traumas that we are. You know, so it's
Mhm.
as sacred feminine really owning our sovereignty, that needing for apologies still comes from wounding and a masculine perspective. The strong sacred feminine sovereignty, we don't need that because we know ourselves and
Mhm.
we know the greater picture, and we our
Right.
healing's done from within, and we trust that them doing the work is more than enough.
Right. And from the masculine perspective, what I see around me, there are very handful of men who are actually aware of these things. Like even in the dating scene, sometimes when I spoke about this, they're like, "What is that?" So, so it's very surprising that in this age where we are in 21st century, still a lot of knowledge is not gone out to the masculine, or they have not taken the effort to learn more about women.
Mhm.
So it's pretty surprising and astonishing because they
So
need
much
to
yes.
really learn these things and nurture them when women need that support. Uh,
Mhm.
A
But
lot
I
of
also think too, like,
vision.
because the goddess culture was lost and because they used to worship women, most humans naturally need a leader, right? Someone to show them and someone to
Hmm.
tell them. And men especially need this motherly essence to hold them and to welcome their sensitivity and to help guide them through their healing process. Otherwise, they're just going to fall into the wounds of bottling everything up and having
Mm.
bar fights to get their stuff out, right? So the more we do the work and we share it with our partners and our fathers and our sons and our brothers, just those little bits and pieces helps them soften into it and see that this isn't scary. This isn't something to be afraid of. And look
Mm.
how beautiful she is glowing, how great she feels, how she's creating her life in the most wonderful way. Like something she's doing is working. Maybe I should listen. Um, and I've been married for 4 years, the pretty much the same length of time that I've been doing this womb work, and my husband has seen the transition that I've been going through. And when I first started sharing the things with him, he was very standoffish and almost shameful and disgusted by some things, and
Hmm.
I just kept owning it and just kept telling him, like, this is natural, this is this is loving motherly ways, and I'm going to keep doing this stuff. And now it's not weird to him anymore, and he'll even talk about it sometimes with other men. So
Wow.
it takes
Yeah,
progress, really owning that soft feminine strength.
yeah. And he's acknowledging it and spreading the education. And yeah,
Mhm.
that is something which men need to start doing to support
Mhm.
their um, spouse. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Just that visibility and acknowledgement. I think the healing in the marriage relationship begins right there. One to one, and the
Oh
domino
yeah.
effect of
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. And then even more so when us as women can acknowledge their wounding from the patriarchy. When we can hold space for them to grieve and process that, that's
Mhm.
really a huge breakthrough with marriages and long-term relationships.
Right.
Mhm.
Interesting. This was beautiful. Okay, so our next question. Mm, what courses do you offer? What programs or courses do you offer related to womb healing? And how frequently do you hold a feminine circle?
Hmm. So like I said in the first portion, I have the ebook bundle, which women can buy at a very low price, so that they
Mhm.
can explore plant medicines, their cycle, and basic womb care on their own. Or I have the Wise Womb, which is a more in-depth self-paced program with different modules and practices that takes a bit more time but helps you go a lot deeper. And that also includes a consult. Or I have the long term program that you can work with me one on one to really dive into that stuff. And, that's for really big womb stuff. Or if you really, really want to quickly awaken your womb, you're devoted to that journey. Um, as for feminine circles, I tend to do those at least once a month here in my community because we need it. We all really need it. And I encourage
Yeah.
every woman to create that space too, however that looks. If you're lighting candles or sipping wine or sitting in a park or, having birth talks or breastfeeding talks, whatever it is, when you can get together with other women, I really encourage that to happen. As for virtual women's circles, those kind of tend to go on and off depending on what's happening in life. But the
Mhm.
best bet is to always follow me on Instagram to see when I'm hosting the next space like that.
Oh, yeah, I'll definitely add the link in the description so that people can reach out to you over Instagram. And yeah, definitely we'll do that. I have one more question popping up. So I'm of an idea where I feel I'm here to do more of frequency and energy grid work on like the location wherever I am, or maybe if I have to move later. So I feel somewhere a lot of light leaders who are doing all this work. Um, in my personal opinion, I have a feeling that maybe in this lifetime I don't want to have kids, or and why not rather adopt children and give them a better life where you're sharing the same affection. So, what is your take on that? Like, w- yeah, so just to, and yeah, related to this, like, why can't we see the child who does not have any parents? Why not give them new life instead of bringing another biological child into this world? Like, we have enough people already in this world. So,
Yeah, absolutely. This that quite like is bringing tears to my eyes literally because from experiencing three miscarriages, obviously, I've been told having children is difficult for me. And I grieved that process for a long time and then settled into, well, I don't need to birth my own baby. There is so many children out there that desperately need love and parenting and a safe space. And it's a bit ridiculous and egotistical that we have to birth our own children when there's so many out there that need parents.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, our bodies speak to us and tell us that, our clock is ticking, or that our womb wants to hold that baby. And, my body craves to give birth and to breastfeed and to
Yeah.
hold my own child. It's just a primal, natural
Hmm.
thing to have that desire. So I have found myself wavering back and forth all the time. And every time I feel deeply rooted in this work and in working with other women, and I am naturally holding that motherly essence, that need to birth my own child washes away. And anytime I feel
Yeah.
disconnected from that, and I'm in kind of the more societal norm type of world, that's when I feel the need to birth my own child. So it's an interesting dynamic that I've been quite honestly struggling with for a few years now, since the last miscarriage, just constantly back and forth and really trying to figure out
Maybe it's going
what
to
I'm
take a
supposed
while.
to
Yeah.
do.
Or maybe you like that's so beautiful. You're pouring the same amount of love in the work you do. And yeah, it's balancing it out there. I I,
Mm,
I see. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
equally beautiful. You're dedicating so much of your energy to make so many more lives lit up. Right? So that's a great thing. I think I would be like hats off for that.
Thank you. You too. Because you're doing it just as much from your end. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I hear you and I feel you, and my heart hugs yours for doing the work too.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. So yeah, I think since childhood this has been a thing, and even in the dating scenes, and like when I share this point, the man in the front is like, mm. and like okay, next. So it becomes
Yeah.
like that.
It takes a
Okay.
special kind of man to hold space for an empowered woman, for sure. For
Yeah.
the women that are doing this work and stepping into it and really owning it, yeah, it takes a really special type of man. And
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's going to take like work from their side to acknowledge the level of work people like us are doing here at
mhm,
this point of time in this the next 30, 20, 20, 30, 40 years, whatever, going
yeah,
forward.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All
Um,
the special men come back, come online.
yeah.
Hmm.
You did, I know you had sent me an additional question that we didn't get to answer in the first part. Do you want to go over that now since we have a few minutes?
Yes. And yeah, so there are two questions. One more question. Can we take that first and then we'll go for the other one? Yeah. Um, okay, the next one is your advice for women related to the coming shift of Age of Aquarius.
So, I I think it's the same advice I've been giving through all of this, is to just connect with our wombs and to follow that inner guidance and to really just allow ourselves to embody that feminine essence and see where that takes us. And the more we come into ourselves, the more we're going to find our own path and our own journey of that rising.
Mhm.
And that takes really just honoring ourselves.
And more of this cosmic shift. So, how do you see? At least I personally feel I'm getting tuned to the language of planets. Like, how do you see this in the future affecting the collective? the whole earth, the energy that is streaming through at this point of time. So the benefits, like what are the benefits that are coming along with this?
Hmm. I think we're going to see so much beautiful change, but also witness a lot of crumbling and pain. You know, things have to die in order to rebirth. And I think we're really
Uh,
in that time of death.
Yeah, the
You know,
foundation, the old structure has to die down, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
to build
exactly.
a
And
fresh one, yeah.
yeah, the old structure to come back.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we're really going to see a whole lot of really beautiful stuff and really painful stuff. And I really believe in the balance of the universe and that um, the more pain there is, the more beauty there is. The more death there is, the more life there is. I think there's always going to be that balance, and things are exponentially getting bigger and bigger all the time. So I think, yeah, we're just going to witness really, really, really cool, fascinating, out of this world stuff. You know, and a lot of connection to our bodies and to our rights, and, you know, people standing up for their
yeah.
sovereignty, and the crumbling of the medical systems, and the change in education systems, and
It's
how
already
we raise the
happening.
children, and yeah, all of it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just going to keep rolling, and, you know, people going back to the earth and reconnecting with the plants. And you know, around here there's a lot of I teach a different like a course on how to connect with wild medicines, and there's so many people just crawling out for that. Like, they really just want to know the plants that are around them. They want to interact with that energy. And yeah, I think it's really just going to
wow,
take us back to our roots and our home, our bodies, our hearts, our wombs.
that's
Mhm.
beautiful. And there are certain courses coming on animal communication, so I guess you're going to telepathically connect with plants and animals and birds. It's going to be like talking, not
Mhm.
talking, but yeah, the language of feeling with. I think it's happening faster than we could even imagine. So I try a little bit here and there. So it's like one bird was showing up like last year, and then suddenly just few days back, I was like, that bird is not showing up. Where are you? And it showed up uh, back in the
Cool.
same place. I was like, a lot of beautiful things are happening, and I'm just learning, training myself. My cosmic training is going on where I'm learning all these energetic skills.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah,
pretty
awesome.
interesting.
Very cool. Yeah. Hmm.
Great. And one more point I wanted to, okay, we have 6 minutes here. So
Mhm.
one more point is, I see the news and I see all kinds of news, all the perspectives. So how is this current situation in Canada when it comes to our sovereignty?
Well, I
And how
mean,
is the
with the whole,
pushback happening?
yeah, I mean, everybody is standing up and fighting for their rights. I think the pandemic brought that out of a lot of people and reminded us that we essentially are the government, and we
Yeah.
have rights,
And
but
that
we have
was
to,
the scandemic.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it's again, I think we have to, in order to get the good, we have the bad or whatever, right? Like, there's always that balance. And I think that pandemic had to happen in order to remind us of our rights, and that we are the government, and that, you know, the medical system cannot be trusted, the media cannot be trusted, and all of those things. And yeah, so there is in every aspect people pushing back, you know, people taking their kids out of school, and people birthing in hospitals a lot less. And, you know, like,
Okay.
I'm a home
Hmm.
birth doula. We don't have midwives here in New Brunswick very much, and women are still choosing to essentially free birth without any medical support over the medical
Mm-hmm.
system, because it's just not being trusted. So
Yeah.
yeah, people are really turning away from the system.
Mm-hmm. And it's happening at a faster rate. I mean, in India, I don't see it like at that fast. But how is it over there?
Everything feels extremely rapid over here. Yeah,
Mm.
but at the same time, I guess when you want something to happen, I suppose it still feels like it's moving too slow. But when you look at
Mhm.
the bigger picture, it feels like everything's moving really rapidly and changing so quickly. And but yeah, we also just live in a very fast culture. People's minds get too distracted too quickly if we stay on one thing for too long.
Right. Okay. So I have a few more questions. We'll be following it up in part three for a few more minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll share the new link soon. I'll send
Okay.
it on your email. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.